When you think of a celebrity wedding, it's easy to picture the usual: sweeping ballrooms, security teams with earpieces, and a blinding parade of paparazzi flashes. But on September 27, 2024, Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco defied all expectations. In the Golden Hills of Santa Barbara, they crafted a celebration that was as personal as it was star-studded, a wedding that felt less like a red carpet event and more like a love letter, both to each other and to everyone lucky enough to be invited. It was the kind of day that people would talk about for years, not because of its extravagance, but because of its heart. And at the center of it all was a moment that would be etched in the memory of every guest: a barefoot, joy-fueled first dance that set the tone for a night no one wanted to end. First dances are usually reserved for tender, slow sways, a chance for newlyweds to steal a private moment while the world looks on. But as the opening chords played, it was instantly obvious that Selena and Benny had other plans. With their shoes kicked off and grins stretched wide, they stepped onto a plush, carpeted dance floor and launched into a routine that was anything but conventional. Drawing inspiration from iconic cinematic dances, think the freedom of Dirty Dancing mingled with the giddy fun of Grease. They spun, dipped, and twirled, their laughter echoing across the hills. At one point, Benny even attempted the famous lift from Dirty Dancing, only to collapse into giggles as he and Selena tumbled onto the rug, sending their guests, including Taylor Swift and Ed Sheeran, into fits of laughter and applause. It was a dance that broke all the rules, yet somehow felt like the truest expression of love, spontaneous, imperfect, and completely sincere. The couple's energy was infectious. By the end of the song, the entire crowd was on its feet, swept up in the euphoria of the moment. In that instant, it was clear this was going to be a wedding unlike any other. Selena and Benny's approach to their big day was refreshingly unorthodox. Rather than booking a grand hotel or a historic church, they chose a secluded estate nestled among the rolling hills, a place where privacy and peace reigned. The setting itself felt like a sanctuary, a world apart from the pressures and expectations of Hollywood. The guest list was intimate, just 170 people, a mix of family, close friends, and a handful of A-listers whose presence was as understated as it was impressive. Rather than crowds jostling for selfies or headlines, there was a sense of camaraderie, of community. The ceremony itself was held outdoors, framed by ancient oaks and sweeping views, with a gentle breeze rustling through the leaves. When it came time for vows, there wasn't a dry eye in the house. Selena's voice cracked with emotion as she spoke, tears streaming down her cheeks as Benny whispered his promises. There was nothing staged or rehearsed about it. These were two people, fully present and vulnerable, letting their love fill the air. As one guest later recalled, it felt like we were witnessing something real, something sacred. The night before, the rehearsal dinner set the tone cozy, unpretentious, and full of personal touches. Instead of filet mignon or caviar, guests dined on Thai food, a tribute to the couple's early days when late-night pad thai was their go-to comfort. Twinkling fairy lights draped from the tent's ceiling, casting a warm glow over tables piled high with fragrant dishes. It was a meal that told a story, a reminder of how far they'd come together. The food was more than just delicious, it was meaningful. Every dish seemed to invite guests deeper into the couple's shared history. There was this sense that we were being let in on a secret, one friend observed. It wasn't about impressing anyone. It was about celebrating what mattered to them. Unlike many celebrity weddings orchestrated by armies of planners, Benny Blanco was hands-on from the start. He threw himself into the design and decor, determined to create a space that felt both beautiful and lived in. The result was extraordinary. Velvet couches in jewel tones dotted the lawn, inviting guests to sink in and chat. Persian rugs in deep reds and earthy browns covered the floors, their intricate patterns lending a sense of grounded elegance. Candles of every size flickered on tables and windowsills, casting soft, romantic light that made the entire space glow. The couple's aversion to shoes became an unspoken theme. Shoes were optional, and by midnight, nearly everyone had joined the trend. The atmosphere was one of comfort and authenticity, a far cry from the stiff formality of most Hollywood celebrations. Of course, no Selena Gomez event would be complete without a touch of fashion magic. For the ceremony, she wore a custom Ralph Lauren gown that whispered of old Hollywood glamour, timeless, elegant, and breathtaking in its simplicity. But she didn't stop there. As the sun set and the party ramped up, Selena changed into a second dress, this one lighter and made for movement, perfect for spinning across the dance floor. Benny, too, embraced the spirit of the day. His custom suit looked sharp at first, but within an hour, his jacket was tossed over a chair, his tie loosened, and his bare feet tucked beneath him as he laughed with friends. It was a look that spoke volumes. This wedding wasn't about appearances. It was about presence. The guest list read like a dream: Taylor Swift, Ed Sheeran, both of whom delivered emotional toasts, Paris Hilton, Paul Rudd, Steve Martin. Yet, what stood out most was how seamlessly these megastars blended into the crowd. There was no VIP section, no velvet ropes. Instead, celebrities and childhood friends alike lounged together on couches, shared stories, and joined in impromptu karaoke sessions. Taylor Swift's speech left everyone teary-eyed as she recounted her long friendship with Selena and the journey that brought her to this moment. Ed Sheeran picked up his guitar for an unplanned performance, his voice mingling with the soft night air. Yet, no matter how many famous faces were in the room, the spotlight never strayed far from Selena and Benny. The focus was always on love, laughter, and connection. After the show-stopping first dance, the DJ took over, spinning an eclectic mix of old-school pop, indie rock, and Latin beats, a nod to Selena's Mexican heritage. The dance floor pulsed with energy as guests of all ages and backgrounds came together. There were no wallflowers that night. Even Steve Martin was spotted attempting a salsa step or two. The evening unfolded with a kind of joyful chaos. There were spontaneous sing-alongs, midnight snacks, tacos and churros, naturally, and endless barefoot dancing. When the time came to cut the cake, a multi-tiered masterpiece blending traditional and modern flavors, Selena and Benny eschewed utensils, feeding each other bites with their hands and dissolving into laughter. What made the night so magical wasn't the celebrity wattage, the couture gowns, or even the stunning venue. It was the sense of realness that permeated every moment. There were no rigid timelines or forced traditions. If someone felt like giving a speech, they did. If a guest wanted to grab a guitar or serenade the couple, the stage was theirs. Friends and family clustered in cozy groups, swapping stories and soaking in the atmosphere. Even as the hours slipped by, no one seemed ready to leave. "It was the most fun I've ever had at a wedding," one attendee gushed. It felt like we were all part of something special, something true. In a world where celebrity weddings are often more about spectacle than sincerity, Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco's celebration was a breath of fresh air. It was lavish without being showy, intimate without being exclusive, and, above all, deeply personal. That barefoot first dance became more than just a quirky moment. It was a symbol of everything the day stood for. It was about stripping away pretense, embracing joy, and being fearless in the pursuit of happiness. It reminded everyone present that the best moments in life aren't staged or rehearsed, they're lived, wholeheartedly and without reservation. As the last song faded into the California night, guests lingered under the stars, reluctant to let the evening slip away. The memory of Selena and Benny, laughter in their eyes and dust on their feet, lingered like a promise. That love, at its best, is not about following the script, but about writing your own, every step of the way. And for everyone lucky enough to witness it, the barefoot dance beneath the Santa Barbara sky was a moment of pure, unfiltered magic, a story they would tell and retell for years to come.